Hey, you're here for Live Susan Says, episode number 34, and we're talking all about pricing your offers. So this was inspired by one of my group members in my free Facebook group, Successful Sales Strategies, Tammy. Tammy, if you're watching this, this is for you. And if you happen to be struggling with pricing your offers, figuring out, what do I charge? Should I ask people? Should I not? What do I actually decide upon? And if you're struggling to get people to actually pay you what it is that you want them to pay for the thing that you're actually delivering to them, then you want to stick around because we're going to dive in deep into all the nitty-gritty details in just a couple of seconds. If you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh. I am a mama of two. I am also a business sales strategist who helps entrepreneurs, business owners who struggle to sell with more ease so that you don't have to feel sleazy. And in fact, you can do it without having to do double the work to see double the profits. So if that sounds like you, stick around. We are talking all about offers and pricing and your people. So we got a lot to cover. I'm going to try and keep this to 20 minutes or less. That is my target for today. And I'll probably end up needing to dive in a little bit deeper into this topic, and we'll be doing that over in my free Facebook group later on this week. So let's dive in. There's three specific things that I want to cover off today. Number one is why you shouldn't ask people what your price should be. Number two is why you're struggling to actually get people to pay you what you want. And number three, what pricing does for your brand. So let's start with number one first. Sometimes I go in the wrong order. Why you shouldn't be asking people. Now, this also goes in line with why you shouldn't price based on what other people are charging, because you have no idea what is actually being included in their offer. Even though it might sound very similar to what it is that you're offering, you have no idea the level of experience, the level of support, what it actually will entail. So while it's okay to look at what the competitive marketplace is offering, you do not want to base your prices based on what somebody else is offering and do a price match. You are not Walmart, right? Like, you're not rolling back the prices because somebody else is charging a different price and you want to be the cheapest on the block. You are unique in the fact that you're delivering what it is that only you can do, even though it might be a topic that somebody else is doing. And that is the reason why you cannot ask other people what they think you should be charging, because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to sell it. And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, is because too often I hear gurus and experts and other business coaches that are giving you, and I've done this myself to clients, and I quickly realized the error of my ways, which is why I'm sharing this with you now, because too often you're told charge X, right? So I've said it to my students, you need to charge more. You need to charge $2,000. You need to charge $20,000. You need to charge $200. Whatever is the price point for you. And I know that if you've been on the receiving end of this, like I have, there's a part of you that is like, ooh, I don't think I can do that. And if that's how you feel, guess what? It's going to be really, really challenging for you to do that. Now, it's important for you to price slightly outside of your comfort zone, but you still need to understand the value that you're bringing, and you still need to feel confident about the amount that you want to charge. If you caught my live stream yesterday with my good friend April Franks, because I'm going to be speaking at her event later on this month, I said it's important that the price that you pick feels like a hell yes to you, because without it, guess what? You can't sell it. And more important than setting a price, more important than having an offer, is the fact that you actually need to invite people to work with you. You actually need to put it out there in the universe and have people buy it from you. And if you stay a top secret, then it doesn't even matter what you price things at. People just aren't going to buy. So you have to be able to confidently express the amount that you want to charge and do it in a way that it feels good for you. So it doesn't matter what I think you should charge, or your friend thinks you should charge, or even what your audience thinks you should charge. Because guess what? Every time I've asked people, I get lows all the way to the highest of highs, because depending on the pain point for your people, depending on what's even happened to them that day, your answers are going to vary. And that's why the only person who can answer the pricing question is you. Now, there are definitely, and I apologize, my nose is starting to run. There are definitely pricing strategies in terms of calculations and things that you can use as tools, but you still have to be able to sell it after you decide on the price. And that's why you need to be able to determine what is the value that you're providing and how much do you want to charge. Sorry, runny nose, allergies. Okay? So I want to know from you, have you asked? If you have asked somebody about your pricing, I want you to drop a 1 in the comments. And I'm going to be the first person to say, that was me. I still have to stop myself. So if you're doing this today, don't beat yourself up. Don't feel bad. Just know that you're not alone, but promise me that you will stop doing that and really sit today and give yourself some space and time, just journal or do something fun where there's no pressure to come up with a price point that feels like it would be easy for you to sell this at, but still pushing yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone, okay? Because that's where growth happens. You need to still push the envelope a little bit. If it's really, really easy for you to sell, then you're not doing yourself a service either, right? Because as business owners, we need to make money. So that's number 1, why you shouldn't ask people. Don't ask people what to price your offer at. That comes from you alone. So let's go on to number 2. Why you're struggling to get people to pay. So if this is you, I want to hear from you. Have you, and I'll share a story that might help illustrate the point. I want to know, have you priced or changed your price, either going up or down, offered discounts or special deals, and you're still struggling to get people to pay you? So I'll share a story. When I first started my business, and I was doing a lot more one-on-one coaching and consulting. That's the bread and butter of how I launched my business, actually. I was not 100% confident. Hi, Kendra. Thanks for joining me. I was not 100% confident about my price, because even though I had sold thousands, hundreds of thousands, even $1 million deals in corporate, I hadn't really sold my own stuff at that higher level. Now, I had businesses in the past, they just weren't as successful. They just weren't. I've been there, I've done that. So if you're struggling right now, please know that what you see today in my business is not how my life has always been. Right? And I want to be very open and honest and transparent about that, because I find that sometimes people only share the good stuff and you're like, well, they've never struggled. No, I've struggled. I've charged hourly. I've been like, oh my God, could I just move on? So this is why, and we'll get into this in the next point, pricing is so important for your brand. So when I first started my business, I was not confident in my price. I knew what I would like to get my prices up to, but the price that I even set at the original starting point was $3,000, and I wanted to get to $5,000. And I knew that I only wanted a few people at $3,000 so that I could get to $5,000. Now, when I had the first few conversations where I positioned my offer and the opportunity to help people, even though it wasn't the $5,000, I still really struggled with positioning $3,000. So what did I do? I prepared for a no, which I don't do this. So if you've taken my sales program, you know that this is like cardinal sin number 1. Be prepared, but don't expect a no. And I expected a no. I expected that the people I was talking to would not be able to afford me. And I expected that I would have to give a discount. So guess what? I gave a discount. I dropped my prices by half. And those people still struggled and they said, I can't afford it, even though I dropped my price, even though they actually knew that I was worth more. So this is why you're struggling to get people to pay. In my case, and maybe in your case, it's because you're talking to the wrong people. You're talking to people who either don't see the urgency or don't understand the value or just plain aren't ready for you and you're not a fit. In which case, let them go, right? And so both of those women, although they're wonderful, fantastic, amazing humans, they weren't right for me. They weren't. I've never worked with them in any capacity because their problem and what I help them with, they don't match. And I was trying to force a round peg into a square hole, like, oh, please make it work, please make it work. And in the end, Kendra says, shared in my community, oh, thank you, love. In the end, when I told my husband this, and I said, well, they're going to think about it. They can't afford it right now. They have to talk to their husbands. All the objections came up, right? Guys, I'm experienced in sales. So this is to say that even though you are good at what you do and you're getting the skills of sales, things still show up. It's why I continually practice and I encourage my students to practice all the time. I practice all the time because without it, we don't get better. And at the end of the day, when I told my husband this and he said, do you even want to help them for, like, is it worth your time? And I said, oh my God, no, it would be just the same amount of work for the $3,000. Then like if I had charged them $3,000, I was prepared to give them the same amount of work, of support, of energy, of just like being there for them. And yet I was willing to accept $1,500. And at the end, it wouldn't have been worth it for me, right? And so I want you to think, are you creating more work and effort because you're struggling to talk to the right people, because you actually don't want to sell the thing that you are thinking that you need to sell? So I was listening to a podcast the other day. I have to go back and I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately, brain fart. But I want to know, have you ever been told by a mentor, a guru, an expert that you should completely switch your business model? Like you shouldn't be selling this, you should be selling that. And you created that, but you actually don't like it. Because that's the story that I heard earlier this week. It was a woman who was already successful, had left her corporate career, doing something that felt really light and easy for her, and that was serving her community. And yet, at the end of the day, what ended up happening is that she met somebody who said, oh, you could be making so much more money if you did this, this, and this. She changed her business model. She added in this other offer, which she really wasn't crazy about selling. And then she realized, I don't want to sell this thing. And she struggled to find the right people to do that with. And she didn't enjoy it. And she didn't want to service those people. And at the end of the day, she shut it all down, right? So just because it feels like it should work, I'm going to tell you, yes, business takes work. Yes, business is hard, but it shouldn't be that hard. And if you're at that point, you know what I mean. I've been at that point where I had to evaluate on my business and I wasn't struggling to sell, but it still felt that hard. Didn't feel hard. It felt that hard. And that's when you know that you're selling to the wrong people or that you're servicing the wrong people, even if you're not selling to them because they're not buying from you, right? Because that's what I hear a lot of times. And this was inspired by a community member of mine who is talking to people who she loves serving and they love getting her help, but they're like baby birds, just like, do y'all know what baby birds do? They just sit in the nest and they're basically helpless. So they sit there and they wait for mama bird to come back with their mouth open because they know that when mama bird comes, mama bird's going to feed them. So mama bird's going to drop the worms or birds regurgitate, right? Like they regurgitate their food and give it to the baby. So the baby really has to do nothing. So is that what's happening to your audience? Because if that's what's happening and you're only attracting the people who want your stuff for free and they don't value what it is, even if you charged $5, $50, $500, $5,000, whatever is the price point that you want to charge them, and yet they're acting like a baby bird because they just want mama bird to come and feed them all the time and drop the worm for free. I'm sorry. You're not the mama bird. You're a business owner. You're the person who sells the worms. Does that make sense? You're the worm seller, not mama bird. So if you want to sell worms, you need to find fishermen, because fishermen, they need bait. They're going to buy your worms. You need to find the audience that values what you are serving them and has the capacity and the means to pay. And too often I see students and clients and friends of mine struggling because they're fishing in the wrong pool. They are sitting with the baby birds and they need to go out and find the fishermen. I hope this is making sense. So let me catch up on comments here. Kendra, I miss you too. I think I'm going to see you in Las Vegas end of this month. Tammy, you're speaking to me, lady. Yes, this is for you. I'm so glad that you're able to catch me live today. So Tammy, I'm hoping this is making sense. The other example that I'm going to share with you, because I find that people like to say, well, Susan, this is easy for you because you just teach people how to make money. So of course people are going to pay you whatever you want. No, again, I have had people say no. I've had people say I can't afford you. I've had people who don't value this, who aren't ready, and that's okay. They're not for me. I found other people who are for me, and that's what I need you to do, is to be okay to say goodbye and to let go and to serve the people who actually want the help. And yes, that means they pay for it. Right? Like, I don't buy mugs for free. So this is handmade. This is handmade. I think this is like a $35 or $65 mug. Because now, could I buy a $5 mug? Sure, I could. I valued this because I wanted it handmade, and I actually love it. This is one of my favorite colors in the world. And this mug doesn't have it, but my other ones have a little bit of a pink blush color. I value this. Okay, not everybody will value this mug. And I don't know if you can see, like, there's these weird little nubbins. They get chipped, which drives me bonkers because it breaks my heart to know that this expensive mug has been chipped. Thankfully, this one's okay, but not everybody is going to see value in this mug for this artist. Just like not everybody's going to see value in what it is that you do, regardless of what it is that you help people with, right? So I don't care what you're helping people with. The excuse of, I don't help people do blank, so they won't pay me blank, does not hold water, because I have seen people charge hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for tons of stuff. Things that you would just be like, not related to money. So if they can do it, you can do it too. And the reason why you're struggling is because of these things that we're covering off today. And I'm going to go into a little bit more with the third point. But here's the example I want to share with you. Relationship coach. You're helping somebody find love. Now, you could be working with a college, like somebody who's straight out of college, right? Like, God bless you, millennials. But a millennial who has just graduated, wants to find the love of their life. Now, capacity to pay, gonna be a little bit iffy, right? I don't know if they have a job. They just graduated college. Maybe they have student loans. They have all the time in the world. So urgency, I'm not sure. Like, do they have the same level of, the clock ticking and feeling like, oh my gosh, life is passing me by? I don't know, right? And in terms of the other qualities that you might need that person to have, do they have those? So as a relationship coach, I could definitely target millennials. Sure, I can help them with that problem. Now, the bigger pond that for me, so I'm using this example in order to illustrate a point in terms of the baby bird example and then going to find the fisherman. If I wanted to find a fisherman, because the millennials could be my baby birds, they could, right? They might want a lot of advice, but they might not have the ability to pay me, and they might be a lot more work and effort than if I just found a fisherman who's just going to buy a bucket of worms from me, not one at a time. So my fisherman could be a corporate CEO who's gone through 2 or 3 different relationships, who has a very busy life, who has to travel. Maybe they have grown children or growing children, and so they have some family responsibilities, and they don't have time to swipe all that business, right? Do they have capacity to pay? Gosh, I hope so. They're CEOs, right? Do they have urgency? Yeah, they do, because they understand the importance of time and the fact that they don't have a lot of time. They're willing to pay for expertise. And in terms of the other components, yeah, I have to go through a checklist, right, of what it is that's important to me as a relationship coach. But if I'm looking at the pool that's available to me, same problem, same thing that I'm helping them with. I'm helping them find love, the love of their life. But I have a different audience, and that audience is my fishermen who are more willing to pay really whatever price point that I want, right? So that's what I want you to consider, and that's going to roll into point number 3, which is why pricing, let me just pull it up, what pricing does for your brand. Now, if you are trying, so I have no judgment if you want to be the Walmart of your brand in terms of like, I just want volume, I want to be able to provide the best value at the best price point to be really accessible for people. Awesome. Great. Go and do it. Know that will influence your pricing model, right? That you will not be able to charge thousands of dollars for your products under that branding premise. If you are trying to be a Saks Fifth Avenue, you better not charge $5 for your product or even $100 for your product. The lowest might need to be like $5,000, because if you're saying, I charge 6 figures to work with me, and then people that want a piece of you, well, how low do you need to go? Well, if you're a Saks Fifth Avenue, better not be too low, because it devalues everything else that you do. Now, that's not to say that you can't have low and high, right? Because I'm sure one of you is going to say, well, but Susan, you have things that are low cost. Yeah, I do. I only just started putting that into the mix. And that's what I want you to think about is if you haven't yet achieved the level of financial success in your business where you can replicate this on autopilot, like the engine is running and it's going and going and going so that you can then divert and add something else, then do not do like all things to all people, because it confuses. And as Donald Miller says for StoryBrand, when you confuse, you lose. And as I always say, a confused mind does nothing, because the old saying is a confused mind doesn't buy. In fact, today's day and age, a confused mind does nothing. And I want you to think for yourself, when you're confused, what do you do? I know for me, I keep going. I'm like, if I'm scrolling, I'm like, nope, I don't understand. Go. So you do not want to be in that bucket of confusing your audience, confusing the people that you actually want to help, confusing the people that you want to work with you and that you want to buy from you. It's better that you figure out one thing. And if you're in my community, you'll know why this is so important to me, this one thing focus. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, to help you narrow down your focus. Because when, as creatives and as visionaries and as business owners, we want to do a million things to help a million people, that's all fine and good, but you can't do it at the same time. And when you have pricing that kind of goes all the way under the sun without you actually having figured out a process to help people and deliver that one thing over and over and over again before you move to the next level and the next level and the next level and the next level, you don't actually gain traction on any one thing. So when you see experts, when you see mentors and people who are killing it, and you're like, well, but they have so many things. I have to have so many things. They didn't start that way. They didn't start that way. One, right? Price, and this is the thing. You can change your price. I give you permission. Not that you need it, but some of you need it. You can change your price. If you need to do that today, go and do it. Do it so that you can go and make an offer, so that you can ask somebody to work with you, so that you can promote the service that you're desperately passionate about helping people with. Okay? I don't want you to sit on the sidelines because you're so busy trying to figure it out, and that you're wrapped up in, well, if I do it this way or that way, and I need this special formula, and if I calculate this, and you need it to be perfect. Just let go. Just do it, see what people respond to, and know that you have to be in the fishermen and not in the baby birds before you evaluate whether or not your price is correct. Okay? Because your market will tell you, but only insofar that you're actually in the right market. Does that make sense? So you don't buy fruit at the meat stand. You need to go over where the fruit and vegetables are. So if you're trying to sell something that people are not prepared to buy, you're in the wrong place. If you are trying to sell them something that they're not ready to buy, you're in the wrong place. If you are charging something that is incongruent with your brand, you're in the wrong place, right? All of these things are leading to confusion for your people, and pricing and your offers and your people, all of that is connected together to create a magical experience that happens when you make a sale. And I know that sounds really funny, but every time that I help somebody, every time I see a PayPal notification, every time somebody signs a contract, I'm overjoyed, because it means that I'm getting the opportunity to help somebody else. And I know that that's what you're waiting for as well. And that's why you're frustrated when you know you can help, you have a product to sell, and people are saying no. And you're thinking, at what point will they say yes? Like, how much lower can I go? So I said this with April yesterday. Instead of discounting, think about how much more value you can add so that the price point becomes a no-brainer for them and for you. Okay? So let me just see if there's any questions on here, and then I'm going to hop off. I'll go into this probably in a little bit more detail in my Facebook group. If you happen to have questions, add them below, and then come and join us over in Successful Sales Strategies. I'll probably do this on Monday to give a little bit of time, but I think I might actually switch over and do Live Susan Says on Mondays on my page, and then do a little bit more in detail on Wednesdays in my Facebook community, just so that we can go in a little bit deeper. So, okay, so Kendra has asked, what if they are a perfect fit, but just can't afford your rate at that time? Is there a caveat in that? So, yes, if you feel like they are a perfect fit, but it's just a matter of timing and pricing, there's two things. Can you give them something else that will allow them to get a quick win so that they can make some of the money in order to start working with you? Do you offer payment plans? And then the last piece, to be honest, okay, so this is like complete, frank, honest, open conversation. I have found that when people actually can't afford me and they don't do the other steps that I just mentioned, right? Like they don't take a smaller bite, they don't take advantage of free training that you have and do the work in order to get results, that they actually aren't a perfect fit. And I was using the money as an excuse to why they couldn't work with me. But really, when I dug in deeper, there was a couple of other things that I was excusing that actually made them a not perfect fit. And so that's what I want you to think about, is if you've given them all the resources to be able to get to the point where they could work with you, and they're still not working with you because money is still an excuse. And I should walk back a little bit. There are definitely times where money is the reality of a situation. But I know that when people want something, they do all kinds of crazy things. Like if I work with somebody who spent I think it was $400. It may have been more. $400 a month on Starbucks. Guys, Starbucks. $400. She budgeted it into her finances because it was important to her. It gave her a sense of social atmosphere. Like that's really the only place that she went during her workday. She was able to go with colleagues. It made sure that she left the office. So it was part of her like just daily self-care. It made her walk, which I know sounds funny, but if you've ever been in an office job, you know what that's like, right? Like you're sitting all day. And so any excuse that you can have, that was worth her sanity. So if somebody's willing to budget $400 for coffee, and I fully admit I don't drink coffee, so I don't understand it, but I do drink tea. And there was a time where I was drinking tea every single day and going to Starbucks for the same reason. And so what I want you to think is people will put money aside for things that are important to them, right? Even if maybe it's a daily happy hour. Well, that could be $20, could be $50 a day, right? To sit and have a couple of cocktails and like your appies, because who goes to happy hour and only drinks and doesn't eat, right? So all of these things, they add up. And yet at the end of the day, if that's important to them, they're going to make the time and they're going to make the money for it. So as much as that might be painful to hear, it just means they're not ready. And they may never be ready. And that you have to kind of be okay with that. Because at the end of the day, you can't choose for them and you can't force them to do something that you know is in their best interests. It's kind of like parenting, or really any relationship. Like when you have somebody that you care about and you know that they should be doing something, but they can't actually do it, you can't do it for them. And that's the same with your potential customers. So I hope that helps you, Kendra. Okay, so Tammy has said, I just removed 3 services that I offered to zone in on one of my favorite ones that makes me happy. Yay! Awesome. And that's what I mean, like narrow, right? And I can't afford it all the time. I am in health for those who don't know. I don't know what that means. So Tammy, I don't know if you grabbed my freebie way back in the day. There are 3 scripts or strategies that you can use when you come across that objection to actually dig in a little bit deeper. So that's a freebie. You can find that on my website. But if you need another layer of that, then feel free to grab my objection handling bundle. It's in with my discovery call formula. And so it walks you through like step by step exactly what to say on an actual sales conversation when you're with a prospect, but also why objections come up, when they're real, when we need to dig into a little bit deeper, and then what are some of the things that you can ask in order to push through that with your potential customers. So that might be helpful as well. Tammy's saying, I saw a huge drop when I increased my prices, but I really love my new price point and feel it is my value. Perfect. So then you're in with the baby birds. You need to go find a fisherman who feels the same way as you, who's like, well, if you have that confidence, if you know the value, if you can see the results, then why wouldn't they buy it? You need to find that person. And the clearer you can get on who that is, where they are, what they're struggling with, the easier it will be for you to be able to do that. So Tammy's saying, I had someone that I thought was a perfect fit, did a payment plan that extended the program in my work with them, and they stopped paying as soon as I finished with them. So I lost big. Oh, okay. Yeah. And this is where, again, oftentimes when we are making extraordinary exceptions for people, it doesn't always work out. Now, it can. So I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, But I want you to, these are all learning moments, right? It's an opportunity for us to see, okay, where could I have put better boundaries in place? Was it my pricing? Was it the payment plan? Was it the work that I need to do? Typically for one-to-one work or support, I don't recommend that you deliver the full bout of services while payments are still being extended. Now, it's a little bit different if you're doing a group program, your time is leveraged, or a self-service DIY type of course where you don't really have any interaction, but where you are like delivering exactly one-to-one, you need to make sure that the payments are done before the service is fully completed, because unfortunately, sometimes people take advantage. So, okay, Kendra says, I love that quick win with possibility of free training or payment plan. Yay, lady, I hope that's helpful for you. Tammy's asking, so when do you feel you are just overpricing? Tammy, do you mean like when you're like as a service provider, I'm charging too much? Is that your question? I just want to make sure that I get that straight. Example, I see some coaches charging insane amounts and I do feel it extends the value, but maybe that means I'm not the right fit. Okay, so I hear what you're saying. So yes, if you don't see the value in somebody else's offer, you're not the perfect fit, because you either don't have the problem or you don't have the same level of relationship, that know, like, and trust with the person who is selling in order to justify your investment. So, and that's why it's okay. It's okay to say that's not for me and this is for me. It's okay to know when to draw the line, and it's okay to make sure that you understand how to walk people through evaluating the decision for themselves. So just the same way that you would evaluate for you, like at what point does it justify it? So I'll give you an example, because I realized, I undercharged the last time for my business to business consulting clients. I have a client right now where we're being tasked with potentially doubling her cash run rate. So we're going from $1.5 million up to 2.25 on the low side, but ideally closer to 3 million in cash for the year, right? So essentially 2xing her revenue from the year before. Actually, not her full revenue, the cash received, because of the complexity of the business. So I charged her a certain amount. Now, when you look at the results that I provide, because giving her the structure and the process and the training and the accountability, the routines with her sales team, they will be able to hit that goal. That's $1.5 million potential in new revenue, because she's working with me for 3 months. So if that was you, okay, so again, we're going back to point number 1, which is, what would you pay for that? This is why you don't ask people, because they want to pay the least amount for the most amount, right? So what do I feel like is equivalent value? Well, when I look at it that way, I'm like, wow, I could have easily charged 6 figures. Easily. I didn't charge 6 figures. But this is my point, is that based on the result of the deliverable that I'm going to get for her, what is the return? And I know, so Tammy's business is around health. If somebody could not get out of bed every day, what would they pay in order to be able to do that? And so I know we've had some conversations around your current audience. What I want you to think about, because I've been there too, is when I was making 6 figures, that was the cost of me not being able to work. It was 6 figures, plus, right? Because of all of the drain on my resources, my time, my family, my relationships, my own self-worth and image. So what would I pay? What would I have paid? I've paid multiple 5 figures through the course of therapies and medications and people. So there are people who are paying lots of money for everything that anyone here, you are here to deliver. Your job as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a marketer, because we're wearing all those hats right now, even if you have people that are helping support you on your team to do that, you have to make those decisions, right? Your team is not deciding, I'm going to market you this way or I'm going to sell you this way. You have to decide. So at the end of the day, your main function is to find those people who will pay for you and to show them that you deliver the value that you promise such that they are going to be comfortable paying you. That's it. So I hope that's helpful. Let me just see. Tammy, let me know if that helps you, because you can charge whatever you want. I mean, so again, relationship coach, one of the last events that I was at earlier this year, there's a couple of actually, I think there was like 5 relationship coaches out of like 70 people. Several of them had ultra high-end offers, which means that they were charging at least a 6-figure amount over the course of, let's say, a year to work with them. Relationships. Remember, not related to business, not helping people make money, charging 6 figures plus. So it really doesn't matter what niche you're in. There's an opportunity for you to charge what you want that is equivalent to the value and the results that you deliver. So that's always my caveat, is if you are not an expert, if you don't deliver results, if you are not top notch in the field that you are working in, please don't overcharge. Please don't gouge people. Please don't make those people come to me and say, I need help because I spent X amount and now I'm penniless because they actually didn't give me the results that I've been promised. Those are shysters, right? So you still have to do your due diligence. But at the end of the day, if you are qualified, if you get people results and you are experienced to do this and people are asking for your help, you charge based on all of those factors. Okay, so let me just take a sip. Okay, so Kendra has asked, Susan, I have the opportunity to train and hire a group of counselors for a mental health organization. It's what you helped me to discover when we last met. I'm so excited for you. Yay! I'm giving you high fives here in case that looked weird. What do you think about an initial training fee that includes the hire and training, then a monthly maintenance fee to oversee the employee for residual income? That's a retainer contract. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it, right? And I mean, if you're over in Sales Mastery Society, we could actually dig into it a little bit more detailed to help you with the structure of that. But what you've shared with me looks good to go. Hi, Ebony. I'm so glad you're able to join me. I'm about to hop off because this is way longer than I was originally planning, but I appreciate the engagement, the comment. You guys have been amazing with asking your questions and really just helping me to get this topic out there and to make sure that it's helpful for you, because that's why I'm doing this. I already know this information. This is for you. So I appreciate that because it helps me to help more people. And that's my mission this year and beyond, is to help 1 million entrepreneurs. So I always forget to do this. If this is helpful for somebody that you know, please, please, please go ahead and tag them, share this out, because I am on a mission to help 1 million entrepreneurs who are doing great things, but struggling to sell, struggling to make sales in their business, struggling to see the level of success that they want. And they know that having just the right information would help them to do that. So if I can even just be a small part of their journey, a piece of your day or theirs, I'm just so grateful to be able to do that. So I can post an SMS. Awesome. Ebony, that would be great because I always forget to share in my groups. I know my marketing consultant is like, stop doing that. You need to share. So if you can share, that would be awesome. What do I need to be in sales? Ebony, can you help Kendra and just give her the link for Sales Mastery Society? So it's my paid membership program. You're going to be hearing a lot more of it because it has been, I think it has been one of the best kept secrets. And I know I need to help more people. And so if people who are ready and want access to me, that is the best way for you to work with me and be able to get access, be able to get this kind of live engagement, except we do it on Zoom. So it's even more fun. I love this, but I actually like being able to hear you just as much as you can hear me. So thank you, Ebony. I appreciate that. Okay. So Ebony's asking, what would happen if you wanted to donate proceeds to charity from your offer? Ebony, can you give me a little bit more context, and maybe this is something that I can also dig into tomorrow during our live Q&A for Sales Mastery Society. Thank you, Kendra. I appreciate that. Are you thinking about for your particular offer? Like if you wanted to, so give me a little bit more context. So what I'm imagining right now is that, okay, so let's say, and I happen to have this here. This is not a paid product placement, and Ebony knows because I'm still working out the kinks, but God inspired me to create this physical journal. Never thought in a million years I'd be doing this. But so as an example, like if I wanted to sell this and donate this to charity, like one specific offer, is that what you mean? So if I wanted to do that, then you would, so if right now it would be manual. Like I would have to track this product sale and say that all of the sales for this, for let's say the month of April, this would all go towards like Bethel, right? Because I mean, this is a biblical based journal. Not that I teach the Bible, but this was divinely inspired. I actually don't know what to do with it yet in terms of like promoting. So I'll be sharing more as I kind of get inspired. But I'm using this as an example because I need like a tangible thing. So if we had this and I wanted to donate it, then I would just track the product sales and I would take the money and then I would do a direct donation and get the receipt back. So I would claim this as income and then I would do the donation and get the receipt. So it would be like a wash, like a 1-to-1. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So, I hope that makes sense. Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Ebony. I appreciate that. And actually, I realized that I can type in here too. I think. I don't know. Ecamm did a whole bunch of updates and I'm like, I don't know what happens to when I type stuff in. There it goes. Okay. So that's what I would do if you are trying to do one offer. And even if you wanted to do like proceeds, like if I wanted to do this, but like a percentage, right now it would be manual. I know that there's ways where because I've had mentors and friends that have collaborated with charities and you essentially donate a program or an offer to them. But I don't know the logistics of exactly how that works. I can certainly ask and find out if that's something that you want more information on, and then I could post that in SMS for you. But I know that if you just wanted to do it one-off, that's the best way for you to do it. And then if you wanted to, like is the autoimmune society, is that a charity? Is that what you're thinking about? So if you wanted to connect with an organization and find out like how can I help collaborate for some kind of a charitable offer, donation, do something with you, I would speak to the organization directly and see if there's something that you can coordinate. But logistically, I'm not sure exactly what that would look like. So, okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And if there's any other questions, you can drop them in here. If you happen to be in my free Facebook group, go ahead and add your posts, your comments. It helps to inspire me for other future content. And I might dig into this topic in a little bit more detail later on this week or early next week around like offer creation, how to make sure that your offer is irresistible, and why that might not be happening. So I talked about this briefly last week or 2 weeks ago. If you go look at my last live, Susan Says, and you're struggling with offer creation, go and look at that. But if you happen to be in Sales Mastery Society, you have it. The course is unlocked for you. If you can't find it, just let me know and me or Sheila will get that taken care of for you. Thanks so much, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.